real shenanigans at every corner. Sarcasm, my holy sermon in style. Dark chocolate, melted chaos warmer. Fighting this timeline with snark. Every slow welcome with no recorders. Baptized by laughter in the dark. We stand tall, scorning fake orders. In the church of law we rise, with chaos and shenanigans bright. Chocolate and sarcasm our rise. Together we light up the night.
Well, howdy everyone. Welcome to my CRPS Awareness stream slash how I got CRPS slash any questions you want to ask because not many people know about this. I figured we'd kind of start with how I got her and then kind of go into the whole like, what is CRPS? Because Mo 3 years ago, not kind of didn't know, didn't have any clue. Uh, you know, and it's kind of an entire life change. You have to become a medical doctorologist to try to keep up with research and other things. And thank you also much for joining. If you have any questions throughout, I will try to answer. Um, I will say off the top of this that CRPS affects people differently. So I am not like the queen of CRPS. It is different for everyone. Everyone experiences it differently. And, they might manifest different symptoms. That being said, let's rewind back almost 3.5 years ago. Mo was at a lovely family trip with her mother in Florida. First trip away from children in almost 14 years. Oh, sure, D. Robertson. It stands for Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. Which basically is doctorese for we have no idea what the hell is going on. It is complex. We are confused. That's basically what it kind of boils down to. It used to be RSD or reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Reflex just meaning you can't control it. Sympathetic meaning they knew it had something to do with the the parasympathetic nerve system. So you have an autonomic and a parasympathetic nerve system. Your autonomic makes you, breathe, blink, those kind of things. You don't think about it, tells your heart to beat, that kind of thing. Your parasympathetic nerves are, the ones where you feel hot and cold. They help you move, they help you with sensation, touch, pain sort of indicators. So like if you put your hand on a hot stove, that's the parasympathetic nerve system that's going to say, "Hey, idiot, that's hot." So, oh, I'm jealous because honest to goodness, I will tell you after having this for a while, I can do snow all day. It is cold rain that is just the pits. But I was on this lovely Florida vacation, and then when you come back from vacation and people start sending you pictures, and you're like, "Ooh, maybe I did gain the, coof 40 or something," you know? So I got all into this was my year to, get back into fitness, and I was doing a great job. I made a commitment to myself to walk my neighborhood, which has a murder hill. I swear to goodness, it's like a 60-degree incline. I am sure I am exaggerating that, but you try pushing a double stroller up that thing, and yeah, it's a lot. But I was doing all that, and then I decided to put on a backpack with weights in it because I am extra, extra, extra. But I like the idea of rucking because, I was already walking and it was supposed to help increase like the strength, component and things like that. So it was interesting. I was doing a great job. I did not let myself, take any days off. I went out in the rain. But when the kids started school, I moved that to going out early in the morning. And, you put your podcast in. I only use one earbud because I watch way too much true crime. I'm like, oh, hell no. I have my one earbud. And if I see a thing that looks like a mannequin, I am straight calling the police because it's never a mannequin. It's always somebody. And I need to be a witness like I need a hole in the head. Like, I was just not gonna do that. Not to mention, being situationally aware, which I, wasn't, because one morning, in the middle like, it was pretty dark, and I was getting ready for Murder Hill, so I was kinda psyching myself up, and, we live out we sh in theory, our neighborhood is famous for foxes, okay? But we really should be famous for deer because a deer that, kind of just popped up and it startled me so much that I fell into a drainage ditch. And I was pretty sure I heard something pop or something like that with my ankle. But um, me being me, I started hysterically laughing because, why not? I was just like, only I would get a walking drive-by deer attack. Only me. So I am laughing hysterically while trying to, keep my hand from shaking so I can call Mr. Mo. So when Sarah, calls 911 and she's completely like calm AF and, not shaking, like I was shaking, laughing hysterically. Mr. Mo gets the phone call and he's like, "Are you serious right now?" Because I said, "I'm pretty sure I broke my ankle. Could you please come and get me?" And he's like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in a drainage ditch, I think on the curve right before Murder Hill." And he's like, "You're laughing a lot. Are you sure you're really hurt?" And I was like, I don't know. Laughing is apparently what I do." So I get home and I wait a day because I'm like, I've just sprained my ankle. It's fine. I do not like going to doctors. Let's just put it that way because I have been to enough doctors through 6 pregnancies. I'm kinda done with that. It's only a good doctor experience means I don't have to get into stirrups, all right? That's just I am done with doctors for the most part. And I'm stubborn. I have always and I don't know if it's a me thing, a mom thing, a lady thing, or just me personally. Uh, I just tend to push through. And so the next day, I go into an urgent care, and they're like, "Yeah, you broke it." It's the little okay, it's not a medical term, but I call it the little asshole bone that's on the side that sticks out that always you always nick it when, you're shaving. Right from the beginning, though, I had very high swelling, and it seemed to be very painful. But I attributed that to just landing on my entire left side, and even the doctors kind of said, "It's probably just a lot of trauma, your nerves are, off." So I did the whole boot thing for about 6 weeks. The resting thing, I'm gonna be real honest, not so much resting. I was hobbling my behind around on that, boot and using so the first indication to me that something was wrong is that they got me this incredibly cool, like, knee stroller thing. That hurt incredibly. They had me in a boot, and there were some days that I couldn't even bear to put the boot on because it hurt so much. Now, I am going to show you guys some pictures right now because it will kind of explain why, the boot was so incredibly painful to me. So let me present. Oh, share this tab instead. Mo, you've done this for years. Why are you so insane? Okay, where's this? Aha. So this is what my foot was doing from the beginning. Um, it has so this is somewhat typical if you have CRPS in your leg. Now, CRPS generally affects, any sort of limb, so arm, leg, both legs. It is incredibly rare, but not unheard of that you would, start in your abdomen with this pain, but it usually happens after an injury. So your brain kind of says, "Okay, I am in pain." It just never turns that signal off, and they're not quite sure what happens with it, why it's happening. And unfortunately, there's only about 1% of people that suffer with this. So the funding really isn't there to try to figure out what's going on. I mean, there are some research. There is the RSD Foundation down in Florida, but there's not a lot that they know right now. So during this course, when I didn't know what I had, but I just figured, okay, I'm taking longer to heal. It must have been because, I am a little fluffy. That's more, stress on my body to carry my weight. So I just kind of, walked it off, kind of figured, okay, this is, I really hurt myself. So I did the boot thing, but the knee stroller was unbearable. I couldn't handle anything on my leg. So I finish all that and then I go for about 6 months, almost a year, where I would have really bad days with swelling, with my foot kind of doing this thing, but I figured it was again, look, it's just gonna get better, and I had looked up on Doctor Google. Doctor Google is awesome. You're usually dying, but I looked up that it could take about a year for, broken ankle or broken bones to heal, a full year. And so I kind of got back into the swing of things and, was still wanting to do work out. And my husband and I got a rower, like a $50 rower at a garage sale and they threw in a free deep fryer. It is Indiana. My husband comes home with a row machine and a deep fryer and I'm like, "What are you doing?" So I faithfully did that particular rower for a whole month before we looked at investing in a rower because I thought, this is something I can do without impact to my foot. Now, what I did not realize at the time is that I was definitely cheating with my left foot. It's not something you would notice, but when we actually got this fancy dancy, like, all the bells and whistles rower, I did it 3 times, and then I must have had a flare up and could not walk. So, Mr. Mo, now I am still of the mindset that I will just walk this off. I am full Hank Hill, like, take a salt pill, I will walk this off. And Mr. Mo was like, "I will hog tie you and take you to the rehabilitation place if you do not go in now." Like, it was Martin Luther King Day. He got me in the car and he was like, "We are going," but they were closed. So he took me the next day. And they looked at me and said, "Well, maybe the bone still hadn't fixed." So it had been about 8 months and it still hadn't fused together. So they thought, "Okay, maybe you just need surgery. Maybe you have this bone shard." So I went to a surgeon and, they were like, okay, I will have to tell you. So, guys, when you are dealing with surgeons, they are not the most peoply people. Now, I have had to, kind of figure out that most surgeons are not peoply people because most of the people they talk to are under, anesthesia. So he was absolutely not helpful whatsoever. But they sent me to a physiatrist, which is a nerve doctor. And we're going to switch over here. Let me So they sent me to a nerve doctor, and he was actually sending me for the bone scan. So it was a triple, oh gosh, they shot me up with some sort of plutonium. I'm not sure, uh, but it was a nuclear bone scan, and he was wanting to rule out CRPS. So I go to the bone scan, thinking for sure. because he's like, I never see CRPS. It's very rare. It's probably not going to be your thing. Now, what I will tell you as some sort of helpful things if you do have a chronic pain issue. I realize that the doctors, don't have a lot of time, and I sort of tend to verbally vomit stuff instead of having a coherent thought because I don't like doctors. So, if you do have an issue or a chronic pain issue, here's what I would recommend if it would work for you. I printed out from the like, there's a bunch of anatomy coloring books. I printed out a picture of my leg and my body from the anatomy coloring book, and then I had them laminated. And I would go through and I would color in what kind of sensations I had on my leg. So it made it easier for the doctor to understand what I was feeling because um, my sensitivity really runs from the distal or outside of my leg up to my hip. So, being able to explain where I felt sensation, didn't feel sensation, that was really helpful. So, if you do have a chronic illness or maybe you have something like a pain that you can't explain to a doctor, I would really recommend that because people are mostly visual learners. And the doctors were really, so CRPS means chronic regional pain syndrome. It is chronic. It can go into remission, but depending. If you have early treatment, so say I had been diagnosed right at the time I broke my ankle, there are certain treatments that can lessen the lifelong effects of CRPS. Now, I didn't do that because I was stubborn, and I don't know about you guys, but I have a hard time gauging pain. You know, if you're just someone that kind of pushes through, like a 4 to me would probably be an 8 to someone else. It is really hard. I've had medical professionals that say you always need to add 2 numbers to your internal scale because you don't perceive pain the right way. And I was like, well, okay. But it definitely is something that is hard to kind of give that. And then I don't blame my doctors. I was a hardhead too, but it is very hard for them to look at this and say, this is probably it because it is so, uncommon. So when I got the results back that it was CRPS, I kind of started doing all of this research. And there is a basic way that they can do this. It's called the oh gosh, what is it called? I want to say it's the Bulgarian scale. They used it a lot in the Maya Kowalski case, but typically that includes, dystonia or your foot turning in, um, aldynia, which is painful touch, Budapest. I was like, I knew it had a B. There you go. Um, Swelling, intolerance to cold. I had a lot of people when my ankle before I got diagnosed, that would recommend icing. And if you would like to see me in really bad pain, but trying not to tell anyone I'm in really bad pain, just put ice on my leg, and it's a not good thing. Like, I don't do the cold. I, um I had a spasm attack, just trying to put my leg into a pool because it was cooler water, even though it was, 80 degrees outside. I did not realize that, it would be that different. But it also does, affect your bone growth. So I take magnesium and things like that to try to, work on that. It is good that they now have these diagnostic, tests that are, not subjective, but objective, because when they just had the Budapest scale, the hard thing with CRPS is that, like many chronic pain, syndromes, you can have good days. So, you might not always be sensitive to touch on, a given day. You might not always have the dystonia or the, foot drag or the inability or difficulty moving your leg. You're not always going to have that. Now, I was extremely lucky that they figured out what was going on with me, about 9 months or a year after I got hurt. So, some people suffer for years and years and years, and they don't realize what's going on, and I feel awful that they, are often told that nothing is wrong because, again, it is not every day. A lot was made in the Maya Kowalski case about, some days she was okay and she looked like she could move, and some days, she was awful and awful, awful. And what people don't realize is that you can have really, really good days, but you can also have days that it's difficult to even function. And there's a lot of dip in not there's a lot of in between. Now, here's the part where you get overwhelmed. So I went from my first diagnose I got diagnosed, I went from 0 medications in my life other than, like, Tylenol and some vitamins. I have an entire tote box. In the last 2 years, I think I've been on no, in the 3 years, they have tried, I wanna say 15 to 20 different medications for me. Uh, the problem with this relievers, they don't always do much for me. Now they do help with swelling, the swelling, but they don't really touch anything. Now, because of my past, I am not open to using narcotics. Oh, yeah. Amitriptyline was okay. Nortriptyline made me swell so much, and my doctor would not listen to me. He's like, "Well, that's not a normal side effect." I pull it up on Doctor Google, and, they're like, "First, uh, warning symptom or, side effect, swelling." So, I went off of that, and honest to goodness, yeah, Tylenol on CRPS is basically like, "What do you want me to do?" Like, so there is a lot of medications that they will try, and all of them have heavy duty side effects. I mean, the gabapentin, Lyrica, those are controlled substances. Um, I can tell you I will decrease my Lyrica, during the summer because I tend to do better, but getting back on it, it really makes me feel like Ready Player One sometimes. So all of these, you know, medications have side effects. So you go from being or I went from being a fairly normal person to, sleeping all day, which was not my general thing. Now, then they can move. So they generally switch you off to what is called a pain doctor after you've been diagnosed to try to help you. My first pain doctor, um, he was an odd duck. Yes, in fact, those are the only things that really tend to work for me. They are semi-legal in my state. I mean, can do the, fakey or the nines and tens and eights and all that, if you know what I'm saying. Um, so they sent me to a pain physician in the San Francisco of Indiana. Okay, so Bloomington, Indiana. I go there, and he's an odd duck. Just odd. But he's like, "I can give you, this, that, and the other." And I said, "I really do not want to be on any sort of narcotic. I don't. I don't like them. I think they, for the balance, it doesn't work for me, and I am afraid of becoming addicted." So we tried a nerve block. Um, he showed okay, let me tell you this story because I don't know if I overreacted, but I tend to be totally, totally cool with everything until about 10 minutes before a procedure. That's when I kind of and I don't get hysterical, but I kind of get, like, real nervous, And, Mr. Mo is seeing me getting more ratcheted up. And I am, apart from being ADHD, I am also too type A to function. So I do not like when people are off schedule. So my doctor comes walking in. I kid you not, like flippin' 10 minutes late, wants to give me a fist bump, and I want to give him like a corrective head biff because he was late. And he's like, "We're gonna go get this done." So I walk in there and you lay on this little table, you're on your front bits, and they've got your back bits just all out. And like I said, I don't scream, I don't, cry when I'm in pain. I tend to tense up and hold my breath. So, in fairness to him, I when he hit the nerve and he hit it like 5 flippin' times, was like, "Where did you get your license in Guam?" He's like, "You have to tell me." And I said, "Okay, fine. Let me tell you how I react with pain. I tend to hold my breath and tense up. So I am not going to be one I can lift my hand unless that's going to move my back." So I had to put up a finger. Now, I picked a good finger, but I was tempted to pick a bad finger. So we did that, and I felt no difference. So the sympathetic nerve block can be really good for some people, but it didn't happen to work for me. So we moved on to a spinal stimulator. Now, if any one of you guys have used a TENS unit, it basically sends you a mild shock to your nerves. And sometimes in some people, in most people, this electric, stimulation will kind of confuse the nerve. So it doesn't send pain signals. It's too focused on the electrical, you know, stuff going on in that particular area. That's why a lot of women have turned to them for, cycle pains and things like that. So I was kind of sold like this was going to be the gold standard and I was going to get pain relief. And I think here's the heartbreaking part for me, or at least the part that really bothered me. Um, when you are dealing with chronic pain, and I wish doctors would be more sensitive to this, every new thing is a new hope. So, whether we try to be cautiously optimistic or, when I was first dealing with this, I would get all pie in the sky, like, this is totally going to work. This thing is going to do all that it's supposed to do. I'm going to be able to, have time with my family. I'm going to be able to walk with my family. Uh, it, it was, I built a lot of hope on this. So I go in that morning and they kind of have to give you that waking sedation because they do what's called a trial run for a week. So you basically have the electrode stimulator or the box that would definitely go inside you once you did have this fully intact. They basically put the electrode in, and yeah, Versed. That's what they gave me. They shouldn't have because I decided to tell the truth afterwards, which is bad and hilarious. We're going to get there, I promise. So he showed up on time this time because Mr. Mo knew I was about to go ape poo if he did not get in on time because this is my spine. I would like you to at least, show that you can diligently show up on freaking time if you want to touch my spine. And then there was the Medtronics guy because this was under Medtronics. I'm sure there's different brands, but he reminded me of a used car salesman. Now, pre-Versed me said absolutely nothing about this. No, I was nice. Pre-Versed me was like, "All right, I'm ready to try this. Let's go back to the thing." And I come out and my leg feels the same. And the daggone doctor slaps my left leg like, "We're gonna get you out of here." Now, Versed Mo is about 110% real. So now I don't remember this, but Mr. Mo tells me that I looked at him and I was like, "That's my left leg. Did you get your license in Guam?" And I was like, "Well, that does sound like me." I was like, "I will not deny this." And then I looked at the Medtronics guy because he kept saying, "It's gonna take a while for you to feel it." I was like, "I don't feel anything. I feel everything in my right leg, but my left leg does not feel different." And he's like, "No, it's gonna take you go home and play with it." And, Mr. Mo tells me that I started singing the monorail song from The Simpsons because the guy reminded me of the monorail sales guy from The Simpsons. I mean, even as we're walking out, I'm like, "Monorail, monorail, monorail." So, of course, being too type A to function, I start playing with the settings and documenting, making my own patient notes because I realized that I was quite skeptical on Versed and wanted to make sure that throughout the week, they saw that I was actually giving this a chance. Um, that had to be the worst week of my life, honestly. The burning, fiery pain and all of that had gone up to my back. I could barely function. I tried every single mode, and it was just awful. Not to mention, on a CRPS patient that has sensitivities, they used, I believe, a combined 900 or 3 CVS receipts full of surgical tape on my back. Like, what the hell, people? What the hell? Even the doctor was like, "Oh my god, you have a lot of tape on." So he's busy just ripping the F off of it, and so that was a week of hell, and I basically was done with that doctor. He didn't have anything else to do or for me to do other than go to another doctor. So I go to another doctor, and this one says, "No." I mean, this was a much bigger clinic, and he said, "No, thank you for the squid raid. We have plenty of, CRPS patients. We know what we're doing." And I had been told by the receptionist that they did ketamine infusions. No, no, they don't. He's like, "We're working on it." And I was like, "Well, is there any reason that your receptionist would tell me that you in fact did have ketamine infusions?" And he's like, "I don't know." So he decides to give me, it's called a ganglion block. So basically, I don't know, I'm not a doctorologist, but apparently it's a different part of the spine that's supposed to work. So again, you have this sort of roller coaster of, okay, I've got a new doctor. He seems to know what the hell he's doing. We're going to get this figured out. Get there to the time of, yes, ganglion block. Because there's also an ablation. Some people can handle, it just being taken off. Uh, Lilu, 1980, yes, it is and it isn't, because it depresses your breathing. It depresses your breathing. That's why ketamine fusions are typically so expensive, and insurance doesn't cover them. They tend to you need a nurse to watch you, you need to be monitored, and that costs money, and insurance for right now does not cover ketamine, even though it is the preeminent and predominant, pain relief sort of treatment for CRPS. It does have issues, you know, it it can be, that's particularly why the clinic I'm going to, I have to stay for 2 hours. It will only take an hour, but, what they tend to do with CRPS patients is, um, is load you up. They do what's called a top-heavy first couple of days. So, yeah, and don't take it, not prescribed by, a doctorologist, not a street pharmaceutical-ologist. So, but back to kind of where I was. So, I went into this doctor thinking he knew what he was doing. So, by now I've had 3 pain doctors because the original guy who diagnosed me was a pain doctor, but he wanted me to go to somewhere else. And he tried to do the, block, but apparently I have weird anatomy. So he kept hitting like an outside nerve. Maybe I don't know. My spinal cord grew out of my spine. I have no idea. Not sure what happened there, but that didn't work, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. I mean, I had learned to temper my expectations, but still, you have something and you think, okay, I've made peace with, not becoming 100% better. I've made peace with that being, maybe a pie in the sky dream. I just want 60%. I want 70%, and every doctor will say, oh, well, we've got this, that, and the other. And have you tried this? And it's not always easy to try to explain. And they want to send you to psychiatrists and therapists, which I am sure helps some people. But I have a really hard time talking to people I don't know about my feelings. I mean, I'm cool with you guys, I know you guys, but like a professional, because I am afraid I will be put on lists, let's be real. I mean, I have barely any filter. Can you imagine what I would say to a therapist that would give me my own DSM-5, like, diagnosis would be Mohs disease? You know? So I'm sure it helps, and I'm sure there's a lot of, good stuff that can come from, unpacking a lot of emotions because there is emotional component to this. If I get stressed out, if I, um, you know, get up very upset, my symptoms do flare up. So that's not, completely unheard of. Just for me, I would like tangible things that work, not talking to a therapist and hoping they're gonna not pull out this, the screaming bowl. Because and the one therapist they tried to send me to had one of those MFing screaming bowls, and I was like, "You use that on me, I will leave." Like, I went full Sarah Boone. I was like, "I'm gonna need a good judge. Do not touch the screaming bowl. Do not do it. Put the screaming bowl down." So then I that didn't work, and he said he was gonna come up with options for me. So I thought, "Okay, well, at least this doctor is going to try. I know I am, maybe not a good candidate for some things, but he's going to try." So I go back to my next appointment, and he wants to send me somewhere else because there's nothing much they can do for me. And that was incredibly hard to deal with because, this was my 3rd pain doctor. So I go to my 4th pain clinicky thing. Now I had to fill out like 27,000 pages about a screaming bowl. Jedi Jess, have you heard those, they're called screaming or singing bowls. They take like a mallet on the outside and it goes, "Woo." It makes a noise, and some people find it very relaxing. I think it sounds like the concentrated screams of people stuck in coals with Kohl's Cash and, it's expired. It sounds like anxiety if it were a sound to me. I know some people find it incredibly relaxing and they can meditate. It just sets off my fight or flight instincts. I'm like, "Okay, it is eye of the tiger time. Who do I need to attack and or run away from?" Let me see if I can pull up a video of it even though it will hurt my soul. Alright. Let me s and thank you for the super chat, Sarah. Did you have to pass an no, I did not, though they probably should have made me do one, if I'm honest. Okay, come on. I just wanna hear the screaming singing bowls. So this is supposed to help your shock. These are singing bowls, and that's about all I can take of that. So there you are. Have fun with that. You can look them up. Again, like I said, some people find them incredibly, incredibly helpful and uh, relaxing. I, again, think they sound like the souls of the damned. Oh, no sound? Okay, well, anyway, if you'd like to look up on YouTube, I have no idea what uh, StreamYard is doing, as per usual. Well, then it's something's wrong with something on my server, so I'm gonna have to restart my computer after this. So, unfortunately, uh, audio coffee, that's not nice. Um, but, he decided to send me to this comprehensive, it's kind of a holistic but non, narcotic sort of thing. So I thought, "Okay, maybe they'll have physical therapy or something for me to do." Now, physical therapy, when you have CRPS, involves a lot of things that you wouldn't think would be physical therapy. Like at the start of my physical therapy, when I was doing it, they would rub my leg with a towel to try to help with desensitization. And that is a, let me tell you. Then I would have to do work on, making sure I picked up my foot because I do. One second, my son has left the refrigerator open and it's beeping and he apparently can't hear it because he's a kiddo. There you go. Yeah, he's just trying to refrigerate the house. I am the thermostat dad here. I'm like, "Keep it cool. We have a fireplace." So, this therapy that I was supposed to go to, they wanted me to buy several books before I went there. And this is when I had that sinking feeling that this therapy option would probably not be great for me. 2 books on Amazon, 20 bucks. How your brain, outthink your pain and become mentally, you know, something or other. They were written by doctors, and like I told the intake lady, because, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything at this point, I said, "So if these doctors figured out how to, think away your pain or pray away your pain." I basically called it the pray away the pain camp because I was like, "This is conversion therapy. I don't think I'm gonna fit here." But I was like, "If these doctors figured out how you can outthink your pain, why are they selling books on Amazon for 20 bucks? They should be giving seminars and people should be, like, throwing hundies at them to, for them to, go with pain." Now, I went to my appointment. My appointment was 3 hours long because I had to go see first a therapist, then a, physical therapist, then an actual doctor. So the first thing with the therapist, she showed me her screaming bowl, and I was like, "Yeah, this is not gonna work." I wore my t-shirt. I like to warn people, so I said, my t-shirt was my black t-shirt that says, "You're so funny," and then on the bottom it says, "Thanks, it's all the trauma," because I wanted to make sure that, they understood who they were getting because I wasn't buying their damn book. That's for damn sure. So I go to the therapist and I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And she's like, "Well, do you have any trauma?" I was like, "Sort of, yeah, but doesn't everyone? How can you help me get through my pain?" And she's like, "Well, when you join this program, it'll be 3 weeks. You'll come in 8 hours a day. We'll do yoga and a massage and art therapy." And I was like, "So you're not going to give me anything to help with the pain?" I get to talk, like, I get to stand up and say, "Hi, my name is Mo, and I am crippled too." Awesome. Uh, Nothing tangible though. "Well, we're gonna work on your emotions and how you deal with chronic pain and working." And I said, "So I'm gonna be in here for 8 hours finger painting? Is this what you're telling me?" Like, I am not a good candidate, let's be real. Like, because I have found distractions to the pain. This is kind of my therapy. I I really wanna take a moment to thank all of you guys because 2 years ago, I was in a really dark place. I felt forcibly retired from my life as a housewife. I used to be able we've got 3 levels in the home. I used to be able to tackle, cleaning, detoxifying, dehazmatting, every level in a day. I used to be able to do a lot more. And, you know, it was hard and very dark for me to figure out what I was gonna do with my life. Like, who am I if I can't be the stay-at-home mom that I used to be? You know Thank you so much, Zach. And it was a lot of, I am not gonna lie, I was in full pity parade mode. It wasn't a party, it was a parade with glitter and Mike and Ike's. It was awesome. I, kinda stayed in bed and, did my therapy and then went home and, didn't do a whole lot much more than that. But I did get into trials. So I could sit my happy behind and might I recommend, I know they look goofy, I know they look ridiculous, but the human dog beds right by the fireplace, that was my jam. I was there, that was my spot, winter, the little dog bed, and I would just lose myself in, the Rittenhouse trial. I think that's when I started watching, and I would watch Nick and whoever else was there, not really understanding the entire thing. Zach, I'm starting my own pain clinic. It's all sarcasm and Mike and Ike's. Thank you so much. And I would listen to them and, kind of I would never join chat because it was much too large. I was kind of confused. Y'all know me in tech. I do not know what the hell I'm doing at any point, at anywhere. And I finally found a smaller channel. So I found Dave's channel and I just, chatted as myself until Dave was like, Are you Mo? Like, do you want to come on?" And I thought, well, I mean, this is going to be weird. But he was so kind, he gave me, like, an hour-long tutorial, by ourselves before I was supposed to come on to kind of figure out how StreamYard worked and everything like that. Thank you, I am working on T-shirts. I've got, Lord Chippy Attendant, I think, that's one that I'm going to be working on. Be kind, be nice, but carry a can of bitch fire because niceness doesn't equal, weakness, is definitely one. And then just a morning newsy news kind of one, I think that's what I'm doing, sort of. I have no idea sometimes. But it was really nice, and it gave me something to focus on other than the pain, other than, what I had lost. And if I could give any wisdom to anyone, and you can take it with a whole ramen noodle pack of, salt and sodium and MSG. When a door closes, there is always another door that will open. You just have to look for it. And it sucks. It sucks when, you're something you love, something you were good at because I loved being a stay-at-home mom. I mean, I didn't have to people, I could listen to trials all day, I could semi-clean. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I was June Cleaver or anything, but, having dinner done, being there, running the errands for the family, not having to people. Did I mention that before? No peopling. It was a nice thing. I loved it. I loved, being the kind of person that kept the home fires going and all of that, and I still do that to a degree. it has been a hard shift because, my family's like, "Mom used to do all of this, like, what are we supposed to do now?" And it's really, very, very interesting how things have changed. But this was an open up. It was something that I could do, that I could sit down and do, that I could connect with people, and I think I wasn't aware how disconnected I felt because, you can join the Facebook group and you can kind of, look at the things online and kind of, okay, say, "Oh, well, I can do this and I can do that." But until I started streaming, I'd never met another person, Sarah Adams, you know, with CRPS. It was just that rare. It's it's insane, and you feel so alone, and then I met other people who are going through not CRPS, but different things, and it was really eye-opening because you can get very introspective, you can get very self-thinking when you're dealing with something like this, and I will say that learning other people's stories, I think you are the first person that had CRPS with me. Uh, but you can get very self-focused, you can get very, "No one else understands what I'm thinking," and I really had my eyes opened that there's so many people dealing with, similar kinda things, chronic pain or, chronic emotional pain, some of the stories I've heard have broken my heart. I mean, you guys have gone through so much, and it really was that kind of kick in the pants, like, "Okay, you might have this, but, other people have so much going on, and it's, you have to kind of look it in the face and say, "Okay, I can't do this, but I can adapt. I can't do this, but I can, do this." And that's why I started cross stitching. I was able to feel productive on the days that I couldn't move around. And being able to feel productive is really important. Even if it's, I had to sit down all day, but I got this much crochet or cross stitch done, or got to crochet this, or, I was able to do 3 streams today. It's very interesting. Now, if you don't have chronic pain, I'm gonna give you guys some kind of insight into this. Good morning, Robert James, or afternoon. It is afternoon. Um, most chronic painers are going to mask. And what do I mean by that? It gets exhausting. And I have personally felt exhausted. It sometimes does limit me in going to meet new people or hang out with new people. It gets exhausting trying to explain what you have and why, you guard intensely on your left side, or why, you have to leave something, halfway in the middle because you thought that you would be okay, but turns out the stimulation and Hagatha the leg said, Screw you guys, I'm going home." So we tend to mask. I did it even in jury trial. So here's the funniest thing. So I was in my jury duty and no one else noticed that I was only standing on my right leg except for the engineer who was slightly, maybe on the scale. He was an engineer. Let's just leave it at that. He understands math and logic, but not, peopling all that much most of the time. Now, he didn't end up getting on the jury, but he was the only one that noticed I was only standing on my right leg because I don't feel like explaining CRPS. Well, no, I do it fairly, surreptitiously, so I'll simply just lean on my body weight on my right leg, uh, and I try not to make it noticeable. Try not to I will really work on. So for me, I have to think every step, especially with my left leg. Pull your knee up, pull your foot up, because if I don't, I can tend to drop my foot or not pick up my foot, and then, it's a trip hazard, it's a fall hazard. So I really have to be very mindful of making sure I pick up my foot. Where was I going with this? But it gets exhausting having to explain, "Yes, this is a good day. Yes, I am parking in the handicapped, spot, but I do have something, you might just be seeing me on a good day." Or explaining to people, you know, "This is what I have. This is what I'm dealing with." It becomes exhausting. You have to be your own, like, personal CRPS billboard. So I generally don't tell people. I just say, "Oh, I'm having a bad day," or, "Oh, I walk a little slower, winter time," and people don't generally ask. So, that's okay, and that's fine. But then you have the people in your life, and being the person that's going through this, you're not alone. You but you see the people in your life, like Mr. Mo, who just wants desperately to help and wants to, be helpful and help me out and make things better. And it took a long time for me to be really honest with him about what I go through because I didn't want him to worry more. You know, I know what kind of, stress he's in. I know he wants to help make things better. And I don't want to tell him, look, sweetie, you're trying your darndest, but right now everything hurts and nothing is feeling better. And I would just like to curl up in a ball, you know, and that's hard for him to hear because he so wants to help, so I found myself not telling him these things or not telling him, things around the house that we could change or what we would need to maybe adapt to things more, and God love him, Mr. Mo's heart was in the right place, but I'll give you an example. So, I had finally gotten to the place where I am accepting that maybe having a walker with a little seat on it would definitely help, facilitate, different activities that maybe I couldn't have done on uneven ground before. So, like, go to the orchard with the boys and things like that. And Mr. Mo was like, "Hey, I think my mom has a wheelchair." And it was completely innocent. He didn't mean anything by it. He was just trying to help, like, "Hey, we don't have to spend money. We can definitely just use, the wheelchair." And I start hysterically crying, like, just hysterically, because it has taken me so long to get to the point where I am okay with having a walker, because a walker is such a big sign to the rest of the world that you really have this. It's just another sort of reality check. Now everyone knows you have something wrong if you have a walker, especially when I intend to bedazzle the shit out of it. But he didn't understand that, it wasn't him offering the walker. I have made peace with the fact that eventually, and on some days, yes, it might be nice to have a wheelchair because it really does hurt to walk, even with the walker. The walker's more for my balance. When I'm having a really bad flare up, my foot does that turn thing. I'll show it to you again. Well, I'll show you more images so you guys can kind of get a real idea of what this kind of looks like. So, as you can see, there's a normal hand, there's the hand that's affected. You get skin changes. My foot generally turns purple, um, and I had a leathery spot on it at the beginning. You can stop growing hair and or sweating. I have not gotten both of those. I still have to shave my legs, which is, it sucks. I was like, the one thing that's good about this damn disease and I don't get it. What the hell? I have ranted about this before. But yeah, so I have made peace with my foot doing this and it continuing to go on. I do probably need, a wheelchair at some point. Um As you can see, it's not all the time. I mean, this would probably be mid-flare, and you can flare up, at the end of the day. This one's very pronounced. It's about kind of how my foot will look, And I am sorry for showing you feet pics. It's kind of against my religion, but, it does. The cramps are absolutely insane. It is absolutely the worst kind of imagine you have a Charlie horse and you can't get rid of it. It's it's the worst thing, and I'll use lidocaine patches, I use weighted heat. For some reason, the weighted heat works, uh, but yeah, that's generally about how my ankle will look, during a flare, and I have to take some more pictures. I did have, actually a video of what it looked like when I was having a big spasm, but, I think I deleted that for some reason, and it's also CRPS, at least for me, for the first year, kinda took over my life. It was learning a whole new language with my body, what were triggers, what I am finding that my right leg is now affected, you know, to some extent. It does seem to, be kind of gradually moving to both legs. Now, that's generally typical, unfortunately, is that it can spread, and that's why I kind of guard. I don't wanna fall down. I do have a real generalized fear of falling down and, hurting my other side. Thank you so much, which is why I finally broke down and got the, walker. But there is this kind of generalized, I guess, for me, fear that people will see the walker and they won't see me, or they'll see the wheelchair and they won't see me. And I think that's uh Terry, I was injured because I got startled by a deer. So I have no one else to blame, um, other than maybe Bambi, and I don't know what I did to him. And you don't wanna yeah, you tend to play it down, you tend to say, "It's it's okay, I'm having an okay day," because you don't want people to just see CRPS instead of you. You still wanna be the same person you were, or at least, feel somewhat normal. I mean, when you first get a diagnosis like this, at least for me, it tends to take over your world. You've got doctor's appointments, you've got medicines to try, you've got medicines to discard, you've got, all of this physical therapy to do and things like that. And it kind of feels like you're in a whirlwind of trying to learn this whole new like user manual for your body. I will tell you there is an Amazon book if you are dealing with something like this and you want to maybe track what your triggers are or what seems to, correlate with a good day or in a bad day. There is a journal. Now it does have cursive words, but it says pain sucks and it's a pain kind of management sort of daily calendar, and you can look back and you can say, "Okay, well, I've noticed I have, had really bad days when it's cold and rainy, so maybe that's a trigger for me." Or I did X, Y, and Z. Because with me at least, and I don't know about anyone else, when I'm having a good day, I have about a 15-minute delay in when my body's gonna tell me I've done too much. And the problem for me is I go from about a 4 or a 5 on my own pain scale, so nagging, but, I can do stuff, to a 9, 10. Um, and I have a really hard time still trying to figure out my balance and my kind of limits. And it is hard to kind of figure that out at first, and I still struggle with it sometimes because, when you have a good day, when you have a great day, it is like, "Oh my gosh, I wanna do all the things." You are set out from jail, you are free, like, it is a good day, you wanna go out and pull a Sarah Boone and get a magnum of champagne and, sit out on the back porch and, just have all the fun, maybe go jump on a trampoline. I mean, it's a free day. We are going out on the town, Mr. Mo. all the sorts of things. And then the bad days come. And sometimes you end up resenting those good days because those good days remind you of how you used to feel, and you know that those bad days are gonna come back. And I think it was kind of a blessing that the Maya Kowalski case happened right around the time I got diagnosed, because my mom, really didn't understand what CRPS was, but she did watch Take Care of Maya, and she did kind of understand that. But because of masking, she had no idea how hard it was on the bad days. And, it's learning to communicate kind of what your limits are without having to always go into the deep deal. And it really is hard to find the balance. I think people around us can get kind of like, "Okay, we get it. You have CRPS. We get it." But you don't get it until you get it. And that's a hard thing to learn. The people that are talking to you, like Mr. Mo would say something like, "I'll have a backache or something," uh, or things like that, and I said or he said something when he had talked about the wheelchair, and he said, "I would have no problem being in a wheelchair." And I said, "But you don't have to be in one." It's easy to say that. I think I would have said that, kind of naively if I didn't have the reality of, possibly really needing one. And it is kind of a language you don't get. It's like learning another language. You don't get it until you get it. It's like being in labor, your first time, like, "Well, I don't know what a contraction feels like." Well, when you feel your first, good, like, stop you from walking contraction, you you finally get what contractions are. So it's really hard to explain to people that, "Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, today's not gonna work. I can barely move around and even the wind is hurting." Or, "I tried to shave my legs and oops, that was too much stimulation. It's gonna be a bad day." Or, Dingus the cat decides to misjudge his landing and lands on your leg, uh, and, scratches the hell out of your bad leg. And, I was like, "Damn it, Dingus, I really wanted chips and salsa on date night. Dang it, and a margarita." Yeah, I spent my our date night in my bed. What I will tell you guys is it's a hard process to get used to things like this. It's not easy. What I have found though is on days I'm getting really down, I've looked to gratitude and I've looked to, what can I do differently? I'm never going to run a race again. I never ran a race to begin with, but I'm never going to, do some things, but I can adapt things. I got my walking pad, and on the summer and on good times, I can do my walking pad. I got my punching board on the wall. I can do those things. So, if I could leave you guys with anything, it's, I spend a lot of time mourning what I couldn't do anymore. But there's a whole world that opened up to me because I looked a little different. And yeah, I'm probably never going to do a hot tub stream or anything like that. I'm probably never going to do a fitnessy stream. But I can do this. I can do other things. I can take my, walker and go watch my daughter do cross country because I don't get that. I think she's adopted. All right, y'all. Because she likes to run for fun. That is not one of my children. I'm just kidding. She's just amazingly athletic. And that would, I guess it skipped a generation. But you get through it. I mean, you get sarcasm. And you find your tribe, you find your people that, understand and get you, and then when you're having a bad day, you go to them because maybe other people around you don't quite get it, and you need someone that actually gets it. And find people that have what you have, or that can kind of understand. Maybe they don't have what you have, but they have a chronic condition that makes it hard. And don't be stubborn, don't be proud. I will leave you with my final story about this. I was terrified when I first got this because if you will see someone in the middle of a flare, you can barely touch their leg and it will go off into spasms. And it's very hard for me to walk when I'm having a flare. And I was worried about having a flare in front of people. I was greatly embarrassed. I did not wanna walk. I did not wanna need Mr. Mo's help to walk. I did not want to need, a bunch of things. And we were at a Memorial Day party. I was feeling good. It was actually a pretty good day. It was a good day. I was Sarah Boone. We were doing puzzles and painting. No, I was sitting out by the swimming pool, and having this kind of makes you have to be mindful of a lot of different stimuli. So I was sitting out by the pool and I had my, Pentecostal skirt pulled up because that's what I wear. I can no longer wear leggings. Forget the high heels. I could have taken or left those. But the amount of tears that I went through when I could no longer wear leggings, because I tried. I thought I could desensitize my leg to them. No, no, I cannot. So I was sitting by the pool and I wasn't mindful of all the stimulation. So I had the sun beating down. I had splashes, so little drops of water. And then I put my leg in the pool. Yes, Thor. Oh my goodness. You are ridiculous. So you are, what is wrong, sir? Stop. Come. Okay. Yes. You are too big for the boob shelf. We have talked about this. Oh, for the love of Cheetos. Um, and then I tried to stick my leg in the water because I figured it was warm. I'm having a good day and it'll be fine. Well, I went into a full spasm and I could barely walk. And I could not find Mr. Mo. Like I am calling him. Now, in the history of Mr. Mo and needing to find him, I was like, so I was asking various people because I didn't want them to see that I was in a lot of pain and having a lot of trouble. So, not the face, not the face. What is wrong, sir? Oh, Sarah Adams, the temperature dysregulation is horrible. So, part of the parasympathetic nerve, it regulates the temperature in your body. So I can go from being I get so cold that I can have maybe 10 blankets on me, and it doesn't feel like the heat is actually radiating to me. I can't get warm. Mr. Mo has just piled blankets on me, given me a warming. So you are at least I'm wearing tan today, sir. Come on now. Really? But it definitely also affects temperature dysregulation. So right at the moment, my left foot feels like you can either have a burning hot pain, like an oven hot pain, or freezer burn kind of pain. From my foot to my ankle, it's freezer burn. Like right now, I feel like I've got maybe second degree freezer burn on my foot, and it's doing that awful fun, kind of thing. And then from my calf to my thigh, it's more of a burning pain with lightning strikes, which is why if you do have chronic, conditions and maybe different sensations, I do recommend, printing out a page of, the anatomy uh, coloring book and really coloring where the sensations differ because sometimes it does make it easier for your doctor to kind of understand what's going on in as far as, sensations or your physical therapist. So I do enjoy it. I think it definitely, helped my doctors kind of understand the sensations I have or don't have because there's also a numbing effect too. Like I can't always feel my leg the way I'm supposed to in space. I've stopped taking baths because I no longer trust my left leg or my right leg, to be honest, more because I'm a klutz, but it falling is a big fear of mine now because it definitely, is really hard to not be afraid that, another injury won't set this off somewhere else in my body. So, I am definitely like, it is gonna be party like retirement village in this joint because eventually I'm going to get one of those walk-in tubs. I will never be, the anatomy coloring book, uh, because I have missed taking a bath. I have missed taking a bath and, getting to relax. If I win the lottery, there will be signs. I will be getting one of those long, like, swimmy hot tubs. Maybe I'll try synchronized swimming, I don't know. But, yeah, definitely if I win the lotto, I'm just going to be streaming from my hot tub anyway. Be like, "Look, it's a bad day, y'all. We'll do newsy news here." But in closing, what I would say is, I am in awe of the way Maya Kowalski handled this and a trial and losing her mother with such incredible grace. Because as a 37-year-old, this this diagnosis knocked me on my ass, and I didn't watch the whole trial because I couldn't stand. It got me too worked up, and I realized that it was not a great thing for me to watch it. I did watch the verdict, but I remember just being in awe of how much grace and strength and quiet strength, quiet but determination and strength that Maya Kowalski showed at such a young age. And she really kind of pulled me the hell because I had a little bit of cranial rectitis. I kind of had my head up my own butt, thinking, oh, only I suffered, that kind of mentality can sometimes come in. But I definitely was in awe of her and how she, conquered, how she got to walking again, and I thought, "Okay, if this girl can do this and show this much grace, then you can figure out some stuff, and you can, forget the singing bowls, just have, the cat sound." And to do all this when she lost her mother, I mean, I believe that my first rant video where I went a little cursey-wursy was, when they showed Maya's homecoming pictures. Oh my god, the whole sir. No, he wants me to hold him like this. He is a baby. So this is what he wants me to do. He It's ridiculous. I I sir. Let's see here. Gosh, what was I gonna say? The pictures. The the pictures that some jackbutt decided to go through her social media. If you get a chance, I'm not going to pull them up now because I need to apparently leave soon so I can pick up my daughter because I am her social secretary. I did not know that my purpose in life was to run her to things. What sir, you are ridiculous. I think when they neutered you, they just made you a giant baby. He's like, "Shush." S Oh my gosh. But, whoever leaked their pictures, I encourage you to go back and look at those pictures, with fresh eyes, because you will notice, and I do this all the time, but when I'm having bad pain, you can tell because I'm sitting much straighter, I'm she's very, very stiff. That smile doesn't reach her eyes, and for whoever found those photographs and put them up, again, trying to disprove and discredit a little girl who lost their daggone mother. is absolutely beyond current redemption in my book. Now, I am I am trying to be kind because I believe most people are, full of redemption. But if you made it your mission to go through a child's, social media feed to try to prove that she doesn't have something that you have no idea. If you are not a CRPS expert, if you don't have it, please kindly shut the hell up and sit the hell down because you don't understand. Yes, you could probably Google something, but you don't know. And how dare you go into a little girl's social feed in the first place? This is the problem, and I ranted about this before, but some people think you have to perform pain the way they perceive it because they they want you if you say you have CRPS and you have a good day, it's it doesn't compute with people. People don't understand chronic pain if you're not writhing in bed screaming. Well, most people have to get up and do stuff. They have people that depend on them, and you have to do stuff. So they want you to perform this performative pain dance for them, hobbled and pain expressed the way they can understand it. If you're more silent, if you don't tend to complain, if you don't tend to make a big deal out of it, you're faking. Or if you are having a terrible day and you're screaming out and you're asking your husband to just knock you unconscious, then, you're exaggerating. You really can't win with some people. And those are the people we avoid. Yeah, it's a good day means that I can clean a whole level of the house and still be okay and not flare up at night. A good day means, I can suck it up and I can walk around with the boys at the orchard, but I know I'm going to pay for it. That's what a good day is. It's not a good day. It's not that I'm ever without pain. My baseline is about a 4. I don't generally go under a 4. So when they ask for a pain scale, it is so incredibly difficult to understand or to try to quantify that. I mean, I know they have the happy face, the sad face, and the bad face, but it's so hard to quantify when you have chronic pain. And I wish they would come up with a more comprehensive pain scale. Is this a good day? Is this a bad day? Um, is it going to be, what are your triggers? Your 4 can be my 8. And when you're dealing with chronic pain, you can, learn to deal with a 4 at all times. You can learn to deal with a 5 at all times. And then there's these moments, and I've only had a couple of them throughout this year. You'll get like an hour or so, or at least I have, where you are in no pain. And let me tell you the brain fog that you have. Oh, bye, Kelly. So, because your brain is so focused on kind of ignoring the pain, worrying about, or kind of that kind of thing, uh, Thor, not that leg. Okay, I love you very much, but you're a whole lot. You're 40 pounds of fluff on spindly legs. Yeah, Jedi Jess, I've learned my pain tolerance is not normal. I've dislocated my pinky, and the doctor was like, "I know this really hurts." And I'm like, I'm more freaked out about the angle. Yeah, it really is. They do need to work on a test, and I'm not a medicalologist, so I don't know how one would do that. I would add curse words. It's kind of me. Like, is it a shitty day? Is it a crappy day? Or is it a I need a killdozer right now kind of day? Seems like it would work for me. Like, point the picture of what, craziness you will want to do. And it's hard to explain to someone, which is kind of how my phraseology now is. You don't know until you know. You don't get it until you get it. And I hope no one else gets it. I'm not not praying for everyone to get it. But, you don't know until you know. And it's really hard to kind of understand that, to kind of get that. And it's hard to deal with the fact that a lot of doctors don't understand this. Even my bonus daughter, who just graduated medical school, had only seen it in a textbook for just a little bit. Like, you do the quiz and then you go on with it. And it's very, very hard to find a doctor with the resources, the knowledge, and has seen this before. Now, I could go to the RSD Foundation down in Florida, but finding local doctors is really hard. Finding treatments, fighting with insurance, it's just so very insane. But I guess there's also such a mental component because a lot of my brain is focused on dealing with the pain. I don't have as much bandwidth. So I've had to explain to people like old Mo, Mr. Mo could like yell something out the door and tell me to remember thing. And, I've always had post-it notes around and I would just write it down and remember it. CRPS Mo has to write it down, screenshot it, put it in a note for me to do. It is very hard to have found kind of a balance between the person I am now and the person that I used to be. And you do have to mourn the person you used to be. And I thought maybe I could get away with not doing that. Just have like positivity and we will work that. And no, you need to grieve that. And it took me a long time to realize that I had to do that. But you can always have a new beginning. We can adapt, we can overcome. Maybe we do things differently. Maybe I carry around my walker. Maybe you have to take, insulin. Maybe someone else has to, watch their blood pressure. We're all dealing with stuff. It's just at levels. And I think we need to give each other more grace, be kinder, but kind, but not a walking mat. If you think something is wrong, if you think your doctor, you know your body. You've been, the owner and had the manual for, however many years. If this doctor isn't listening to you, I know it sucks, the big one. Go to another doctor. Don't waste your time with a doctor that doesn't get it. That's the one thing I have learned. And hopefully you guys, we'll work through it. And Mr. Mo is supposed to help me tonight. There will probably not be a nightly newsy news. I'm going to have Mr. Mo help me get my comfy chair set up because, as I said, we adapt. So with winter coming, we're going to put my monitor on this squiggly thing. I'm sure it has like a monitor stability dealy do. I don't know. I don't know this stuff. But the whole point of this is that I can sit at my desk or I can sit at my comfy chair and have, in theory, work things from there. So that will be cool. But I hope I've kind of explained this to you. Bottom line, the doctors don't really know. My brain just always seems to think, okay, I am in pain. And it doesn't quite stop it. Now, the only thing that has been proven to kind of stop that loop for a while is ketamine infusions. I tentatively have my first one set up for December 1st. So we'll see how that goes. I'm cautiously excited. I am I am trying to not build this up in my head, but not dismiss it because it is scary. It is scary knowing that this is the, final, like, kryptonite option. And it's always in the back of my brain that what if this doesn't work? You know, then at least I've tried it. I've tried it and I've made peace with, where I am now. And I'm okay with my walker. And I'm okay. with other things. I definitely will. I will, so the plan is tentatively for at least the first week because they recommend, between 9 and 12 infusions, for CRPS, or was it 12 to 10? Some numbers, I have it written down somewhere. But the goal is, or the idea is that, I will go to the morning session, we'll rent a hotel room close to the clinic. Mr. Mo will basically take me there, watch me, bring me back to the hotel because it is, supposed to I'm supposed to be relaxing and resting, and I love I love my kids and I love Mr. Mo, but, I am terrible at resting. Terrible. And I know if I'm at home, I'll wanna get up and do stuff. So the thought is that they have a hot tub, they have a pool. Mr. Mo could bring the boys, they could use the pool, I could use the hot tub, and I could just relax. But I am going to have my, laptop with me, so I will probably do some streams if I feel like it. I do know that the first couple of days, they are supposed to really heavy end dose, during the infusions that'll last about an hour. I thought they were 4 hours, but apparently it's 1 hour. But they do have to watch me after that first one for, like, another hour, so 2 hours. Uh, but I might not be all that there on the first ones, and it would be nice to be able to sleep without being in pain, I'm not gonna lie. If this works, I will tell all of you, I'll be like, "Ketamine for everyone." I'm just kidding. Do not do that. We do not need everyone going full Matthew Perry. Uh, no, I was a little different because I didn't wanna have narcotics. So they kind of shipped me from doctor to doctor because they didn't know what to do with me other than giving me new pills. And I got pretty tired of all of it. But I am going to leave you guys here because, oh my gosh, apparently I have to pick up my daughter. She keeps texting like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I thought you were gonna call me in a pass." And I'm like, "Child, I love you. I love you so much. I do have a life outside you though, child of mine." But I get that, I get that. Look, when I was a teenager, I did not, even factor in my mom having something to do as even a thought. So, but if this doesn't work, they have shown incredible, pain relief and, sort of, uh, depression relief with psilocybin. So, if I might be going to Oregon, y'all. Gonna go full Joe Rogan. Have I told you about MDNA, DMT? I don't know, something. Just gonna go full Rogan. That's what I'm gonna do. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Squid Pro Quote, and thank you all of you for sharing your stories and, what you've been through. It's been amazingly inspiring to me to have learned all of your stories, to not feel alone, and I really love the community that we built, that we can talk about these things, talk about what helps us, and, just be real honest with each other because sometimes it's nice to have, someone where you can just text and say, "Fucking foot right now, can I chop it off?" And they get what they get. They get what they get it. So, have a wonderful day. I will not see you for nightly newsy news. I will see you for Mornings with Mo tomorrow, and we will finish up the Frank's memo, or at least do more of it. And I will, of course, be open to anyone with different opinions. But I have my biases, and I kind of tell you what they are, at least in the Richard Allen case. So, bye, you guys. They are on closing statements. So, I do recommend both Defense Diaries and Andrea Burkhart, and uh, Lawyer Lee is there too. Between Defense Diaries and Andrea Burkhart, that's almost like 4 hours if you go double speed. I can't get lawyerly in there too. But you're welcome, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to, DM me on Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now, Elon's Fun House of Fun, Memecopia, I don't know. Thorbert, we have had this talk. All right, Thor would like to say hi or bye. Bye, Thorbert. There is no food, you dingus. Bye, you guys. I'm gonna apparently Thor just wants to be loved. I'm just loved. Like, just love me. Won't you love me? Bye, you guys. No, that's my leg. Stop.